I spiritually awakened in 2016, in mid 2016-ish. So I've been a channel, a medium, a healer, and all those different things for, that amount of time. So I do also have heart problems. I have severe heart issues. I have tachycardia, just total arrhythmia issues. So basically, my plumbing is good. It's the electrical that's the issue, is the way that it's always explained. Easiest. It happened to be it was on November 3rd, which is my husband's birthday. So, which is unique because my husband is in construction and he's always out. He's never home. He's always up and out early in the morning. And our daughter, who was 21 at the time, she is in college. So she's home and she's going to the gym, going with friends. So she wasn't expecting to be home that morning and she decided to skip some things. So she happened to be home that morning as well. So for everything to be so divinely aligned, I had a class that I was running that morning and I was feeling good. It was one of my better mornings. I didn't feel as much of the dizziness and all of the episodes and the symptoms that I will typically get. So I felt really good that morning. I had gone in to take a shower and my husband's like, "Oh, I'll just lay here in bed." So he was in bed. I had the shower door, the bathroom door open. The dogs are on the couch on the bed as well. And I'm taking my shower and I put my conditioner in my hair because I let it sit in there. And I turn and I look at the water, and that's when I typically will say prayers and things like that. And as soon as I turned and looked at the water, it was a knowing something wasn't right, and there was no moment in time to be able to say help, to say anything, and I instinctively leaned against the shower wall. And as soon as I touched the wall, that's when my spirit came out my crown. So my heart had stopped and I went into cardiac arrest. So the biggest thing is that you don't feel it. It was a blink of an eye. I came out. I knew exactly what was happening when it was happening. And I'm like, I just died. And I watched myself slide down the shower wall and flop down, and I hit my head on the marble that's right there. And my husband called my name and he said, "Whatever you did, you got the dog's attention." Then Kristen, he turned and he looked and he could see me there. So for everything to be so divinely aligned, because he had to give me consistent chest compressions because I kept turning blue and purple. He had to yell for our daughter to be able to call 911. He had to consistently do the chest compressions. And she was able to get all the animals into one room, open the door, be outside and wait for the ambulance and all of them to come. So thank goodness, because it would have been a challenge to do that with just him home. What I remember seeing, though, is I came out, I faced myself, watched myself fall. I saw myself turn purple, which my husband said I turned blue first, then purple. So I only saw a couple of things. So I saw myself turn purple. I turned and I could see my daughter's face. And just like her dad, she is focused. She was totally focused, and I don't want to say calm, but she was very, very focused. And then I went into the ambulance and I could see them breathing for me and working on me. And that's when I went to the other side because I didn't have a pulse. So during this time, I was actually intubated for, we'll say the whole thing was about 20-ish hours. So I was unresponsive. They finally got a pulse back so that they can take me to the hospital. When I passed, I went straight to source. I went straight to God. But I remember swirling around and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I forgot what this felt like. I'm back. Like, this is me. And I've listened to other NDEs before, and other people would say to me and ask, did it feels more real there than here. You're just so alive and so vibrant and so free. The heaviness wasn't just from a body. The lightness that I had was because I didn't have the lower vibrational thinking. So the grief, the anger, the anxiety, anything that was in Kristen, I didn't have that. It was all the higher vibrational energies. And I'm grateful to be able to remember that, because when I'm in those moments now, it's a reminder to help me get myself out of that, and to use my guides to be able to help me get out of that. Because we really have a weight of the lower vibrational energies in the ways that we think. So, in speaking with God or Source, the way God looked to me um, was this huge ball of light. Everything's telepathic. It is absolute unconditional pure love. The only way I can describe it is like the love of your children, the love of family, friends, spouse, all of that bundled up together. But even then, I don't think it would explain it. It's just overwhelming, unconditional love and acceptance. Source had said I did such a wonderful job. And I always say he because that's my Catholic upbringing. But Source really is masculine and feminine. Just the yellow warmth of the light emanating. You know how we can't look at the sun or anything? You can look at, I mean, was right there, and being able to be in the presence of God and have a conversation. And when you look at a sunset and you see that deep warm yellow, it's like a yellow, maybe almost with an orange in it. That's the color of God. And it was profound because as we were having conversations, there were beams of light that were coming towards me. And I remember it's the awareness of looking down. You don't have a head or anything like that. It was the awareness of looking down and looking at these rays of light coming on me. And God had said, those are the prayers of people that are praying for you. So he says, you can look at them and you can actually go to that person. I don't have conscious memory of doing that, but I know I did it, if that makes sense. I just did it. I know because I could hear Kristen, Chrissy. Some people were yelling, some were crying, I could hear how everyone was, but I can hear their particular voice and just go there like that. And I looked like the sun. That's the only way I can describe it, is all these rays of light. So much happened during the NDE. It's like I don't even know where to go with all of it. But my daughter she's fascinated by people's eyes, because when you look at someone's eyes, it's not just brown or blue. It's like the galaxy, a nebula. There's all of these beautiful flecks and other colors that are just in there. When I was in the hospital, my eyes had opened and my daughter got excited, and the nurse had said, she's not there. That's just the body's reaction. And she said, Mom, those were not your eyes. They were flat. So they weren't my eyes. So when you understand that it's mind, body, spirit, and God takes you out. So even though my body was feeling, so if someone is, heaven forbid, hit by a car or in something, and you can see them maybe in pain, look at the eyes there. God takes you out and the body can feel, but it's the craziest thing, because I just had this realization, and my guides did say, remember, you're going to have more memory of all of this after the fact. Because a lot of this, I knew of things that happened. I remember being with God right away, but I had other stories just come up of everything that had occurred. It was the realization of, I didn't look at myself. They won't let me see myself. I couldn't see my husband's face, and my mom said, you didn't want to. And you didn't want to see yourself either, because I was intubated and all of that. But we're not our bodies. We really are this energy using this vehicle in a temporary amount of time. Being able to, not only were the prayers amazing, but the connection with our spiritual team. My mom, I had taught her how to connect with her guides. And when my parents were on their way to the hospital, my mom had said, please give me a sign that Chrissy's okay. Give me a sign, just give me a sign everything's okay. So when they got to the hospital, the nurse was talking to them, and she says, my name is, now we have nicknames for one another. My mom is the tree and I'm the apple, because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So the nurse's name, the head nurse, her name was Apple. And my mom goes, what? Excuse me? And she goes, I know. She goes, my name is Apollonia, but my friends call me Apple. So that was the sign from the spiritual team, with her name being Apple, being the head nurse, right, me. So it's just all of those different synchronistic, beautiful things that happened during that time as well. But when I was with Source and just having conversations, and it was how beautiful I navigated. It wasn't, you should have done this, you should have done that. It was just, look how you did wonderful. What a great job you did. Welcome home. You are loved. And that's when I was shown a life review as well. And it was all around me, just like these huge, maybe curved a bit screens that were just all around. And I could see, it was interesting because I saw all the happy, joyful moments, the funny moments. And it's not that I'm perfect by any means, but the way that Kristen learns is, if you're going to show me things I did bad, I'm going to hold on to that, right? And feel terrible about it. And then all of that. But they showed me, when you look at a life review, it's not about you. It's about everybody else. So it's the emotion and feeling the joy from other people, the laughter, the love, the connection, and being able to remember that now is a blessing, because that's all I want to do. Because I can feel other people's joy. Even if it's just saying, you go out to the grocery store, I love your nails. Oh, your hair is gorgeous. What a beautiful smile. Just something, because you never know how that can really uplift someone and what they're going through. So it was that type of moment. And then I went to, I don't even know what it would be called, but everyone was there. Everyone was there. My family, ancestors, guides, different aspects of myself, and everyone I have ever channeled. Animals, my animals that have passed, but animals I've channeled, and mediumship and other people's loved ones. And what's interesting is, because I'm in this spiritual community and what I do, I have friends that do it as well. So I didn't say anything after I came home for several weeks, because I was absorbing what had happened. So a lot of my friends messaged me and said, can you chat for a bit? I wanted to share something with you. And they saw things that I was able to validate, which was just fascinating. So it was just all of this. We really are all connected. This is really a thing. You really channel. You really are channeling these guides and these loving beings that want to help assist you. There really is a source, a God. But I saw, when I went to that area where I was like a welcoming area, I guess, because I hadn't made the decision whether I was going to stay or go yet. And it was just seeing everyone. And it was my friend's son that I've channeled many times. He passed very young, and he was front and center. I saw him, and we embraced, and he did this certain smile with one side up higher, this smirk smile that was one side higher than the other, and we had hugged. And it was just different guides I remember seeing. And at that point, I had the decision, did I want to stay or did I want to go back? So I decided to go back, because I remember bringing my awareness back to my family, to my loved ones, and remember thinking, I really love Kristen. She has a really good heart, and I love it. I love all of them. So when I decided to come back, I was taken to the Akashic Records, or the Hall of Learning. Everything is so vibrant. The colors are vibrant. Those that are clairvoyant, that can see in their mind's eye, the colors that you see there are otherworldly. It's not like the purple here. They're alive, these frequencies and colors. So when I say that the library was white, it was like pulsating and glowing, this beautiful white. And the walls are just as high as you can see. And I remember this huge window to my right. And I could actually see some planets out there. And this is a new realization and everything that came back to me a couple of weeks ago, actually. And I couldn't stop typing because I got such a download and a memory of all of it. But the main part was that I had a couple of guides in front of me. They looked like lighted beings. I can't tell what they were. because we always like to categorize, is it a galactic or an angel, or, who was it? They were just these beautiful lighted beings. And they were in front of me, my higher self next to me. And there was this map that moved. So for those that know Harry Potter and the Marauders map, it moves and you can see people move. This map moved. And I could, like a touch screen, you're just like, okay, what's my lifespan? What's all these different things? Okay, let's make it really good for Kristen. And I was choosing what I wanted to do. Like it is totally our choice. We choose all of it. So I always say when something happens and it's not exactly what I want, I'm like, I'm going to go back up there and just smack myself. Like, really, you did this? But we really do choose everything. Our name, our family, where we're going to live. Are we going to get married? Are we not? What traumas? Everything we choose. When we pass, how we pass. Are we going to have several outs? Like some people have several near-death experiences because they have several options to leave if they wish to. So
and we choose that.
Yes, we choose that. We choose that. And what I found interesting, I know I'm kind of bouncing around, but when I was channeling, even several years ago, I was channeling a dog that was hit by a car. And this dog said, please tell my mom that it doesn't hurt. God takes you out. And it's like a snap. But they always turn and look at me and they say, Kristen, it doesn't hurt. So I always thought that they were just reiterating it to me just so I can reiterate to them. But they knew this was happening. And on October 30th, I actually would have forgotten about this, but one of my really beautiful friends messaged me a few weeks afterwards. She goes, Kristen, look what you messaged me on October 30th. And that morning, I woke up. You know when you're in that hypnagogic state? You're kind of asleep, kind of awake. That's typically when you'll hear voices. You might hear typically your name being called or something, or a hello. That's as you're falling asleep and as you're waking up. So as I was waking up in the morning of October 30th, there was a man that was talking to me and said like this whole paragraph, and I don't remember anything he said, but the woman said something, and the last bit is what I heard and I remembered. Get ready, it's time. Get ready, it's time. And then fast forward November 3rd, this happened to me and I went into cardiac arrest and my heart stopped. So when I decided to come back, I was back. Like they had to actually sedate me more in the hospital because I was pulling, like they have you strapped down. I have no memory of this. I had the tube in my throat and you're strapped down so you can't pull at anything because I was panicked. And my husband was right next to me. He would talk me through it and I would calm down, but I kept waking up and trying to get out of it. So they had to come and sedate me. So when I had said, when I came back, I was back. And my husband said, you certainly were, because they had to sedate you more. 20-ish hours of this. And then Saturday morning, when my parents came in to see me and some friends, my mom said it was night and day. She's like, you didn't skip a beat. You were just, hi. And my memory was terrible because of the sedation and everything. So it was literally every 30 seconds. They had to remind me, why was I here? And then it went to a couple of minutes. So I don't remember really the first 4 days, and kind of the last 2, because I wound up having surgery for a defibrillator. And my mom said, just my face. She said, not only was my hair crazy because, I was in the shower and I still had conditioner in it. I had like this curly Q that was sticking out the side of my head, she said. And she goes, but the look on your face was like you were when you were a child, when you were little, and it was just not a care in the world. It was just total peace and bliss, which is exactly what I felt on the other side. And that's the other thing too, is I always felt very childlike in my life. I never felt like an adult. I was a banker for 15 years and I always felt like I had to be, I don't know, stuffy or something like that, but it never suited me because I'm just and silly and are carefree. And God said, that's me. That's the energy of source, is like children. You look at things through the eyes of a child, the magic, the joy. When they trip and fall, they don't dwell on it and get mad and upset at it through the rest of the day. They're like, a butterfly. And then they go off on that thing. So it's just the magic, the joy, the wonder, and the happiness of all of it. And I just felt so at peace and joyful. And that specific feeling lasted for weeks afterwards as well. It was profound, and I'm grateful to have the memories that I do, and grateful that my friends had connected with me and said, one said, I saw you look like the sun. And I said, those are the prayers. And remember the young man that I saw, the boy. My guides kept telling me, you need to message your friend, message her. And I've channeled before. This person is a very gifted medium, so I don't know what my holdup was, but I finally messaged her and I said, I saw your son, and this is what he looked like. She goes, Kristen, I was praying for you. There was a group of us praying for you. She said, and he came forward. And she goes, first of all, that's his smile. That's how he would smile, is that smirk. And he told me you hugged, that he was there, he greeted you and hugged you.
Yeah.
So to have the validation of things that I experienced as well, it's just a mind-blowing experience. It's not just my experience. Everyone else was touched by it and had experiences as well, which I think is just profoundly beautiful.
Yeah, and I think even the fact that, we usually pray in order for us to get some hope, right? Because we feel so powerless, so that's the only thing we can turn to. But it's really, I've never heard that before, that us praying for someone and thinking of someone actually has an effect on that person's spirit.
Yes, you're heard. I heard everyone. I could hear the whispering. I could even hear the whispering of the nurses, especially when it was directed towards me. Because I remember telling my husband when I was awake at some point, don't tell me anything. There's things I need to validate from you. So he didn't tell me anything other than I fell in the shower. And it was the wiggle your toes. Can you blink your eyes? Kristen, are you there? Can you move your hands? Can you squeeze your hands? Different things. And my husband was able to validate that. I didn't know how he was laying and leaning on me or leaning on the bed next to me. But your prayers are heard. They're always heard. And it's just the feeling within me is I just knew that I was just so loved and supported. And to be able to go to you if I wanted to go to you in that moment.
And what I find so beautiful is, especially when you mentioned, the part of us having a spiritual team and being able to connect with them at all times. And I think a lot of us, when we're feeling a bit hopeless or we're not quite sure which way to go, we're a bit lost in trying to connect with them. So how do we do that for somebody that's maybe tried and hasn't really successfully managed to?
Yes. So again, my background, I was very Kristen. I was very normal. I'm all about living paranormally, I call it now, because everyone has these gifts. We all have different strengths. If you're not like, I'm not very clairvoyant, I'm not like a clear seer, it's something that I developed and that opened up with my spiritual practice. But what I have learned is the ego is a program. We are sent here and we're given a program. This is who you are, your religion, your everything. You're told about you. And then who is your environment? Who is, the collective consciousness at that time? So what is socially right and wrong and all those are the programs that we're given. With spirituality, it's breaking free of the program, which is so hard. And Kristen is very in her head. I was bullied in my earlier years. So I'm not worthy and I'm not good enough and all these different things that I thought. With connecting with my guides, looking through the eyes of a child, that playfulness is everything. So when I first started channeling, it was, I need to do this because I need to help. Then it was, let's play. Let's play and give amazing magical messages and whatever it is that's needed for their highest and greatest good. When you look at it that way, this shield drops. We block ourselves. That's the other thing that I realized on the other side is, yes, there's this veil of forgetfulness and it's this journey of awakening and we're all different on this journey. Some awaken being born and others, it took me until my early 30s to awaken. But when you look at it as, especially people that are wanting to channel their loved ones, it's out of, I need to know that you're there. If you're looking at it as, let play with me. How do I connect with you? Everything, release any and all expectations of what you think channeling should be, first of all, because it is way more magical than you could ever think. Ask your guides or a loved one, can you show me a sign? Be specific if you want. Can you show me a caterpillar? Now go for things that you wouldn't normally see. Like I'll say an octopus or a sloth. I asked one time for, I said, guides, just for fun, can you please show me a couple things? Can you please show me a feather? And can you also show me a unicorn? And then don't, okay, where is it? Where is it? Because you're forcing it. Allow it to fall into place. So I asked for a feather. I don't typically do that now because I see feathers everywhere, especially in the spiritual community. So I won't ask that now. But I happened to go to the garden center because I love to garden. I was with my husband. This was years ago. And I picked up a plant and I'm like, oh, this one, because I, very picky and particular about the health of the plant. So I picked it up and I went to put it in the cart. And my guide said in my head, look at the plant. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, no, look at the plant. Look in the plant. There was a feather in the plant. So there was my feather. And then it was during COVID and it was our daughter's birthday. So we asked our neighbors to come out and, be distanced, but to sing happy birthday. Next door to us, one of the younger girls, the father actually came outside and grabbed his daughter's helmet and put it on the car. The helmet was a unicorn head. So there's a unicorn. So asking for signs and asking for help and asking for guidance and allow it to flow to you. Being in the present moment is really important. And what does that mean? You're aware of what's going on with all of your senses. I can look outside and see that it's breezy outside, see the butterflies that are out there. My senses are interacting with this right now moment. When you do that and you're not in your head and you're thinking about all these things, that's when you can miss all of these signs. The more you play, the more you work with it, the more open it is. So in times that you are scared and worried, that door is open and they can just come in and you have that awareness there. So that's at least a start to be able to interact and play with the energies to show you a sign.
I love that. I've definitely learned to allow more things and to allow myself to receive what is meant for me and to allow myself to also understand that what I think I want and what I think I don't want, I don't know that. I don't know what's best for me to experience. So I need to accept that if I want something and it isn't coming to me freely, maybe it's better that I don't have it. And if I get something that maybe I didn't want to have, maybe it's for a reason that things are blocked or delayed or anything. And it's a different way of thinking, and I'm still in that process. I have to say, I'm by no means perfect, but I think it makes for a much more peaceful life than thinking you can control everything.
Yes. 110%, because I would want to force everything. These are the things that need to happen in order to get here. And I remember I was really starting to not feel well, and it was I really shouldn't be working anymore, and because I would pass out and all these different things, I would just get so sick, and I would come home and I was just bedridden, and I was just come in, come home, go to bed, and then get up and go to work, and it was no way to live. I, just like you, it's like, what did I need to be? I was a puppet on the string, right? But as in now, at the time, my husband had interviewed for a job that would have been perfect. I could have quit my job and stayed home. We were so excited, and then he wound up not getting the job. We were so devastated. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? If he got that job, he wouldn't be a business owner right now. He owns his own business and he gets to say when and how he works. So he wouldn't have been able to be home for my NDE to save me. Yeah. And all of these other things. So we can think we know what we want, But if we feel the feeling of how we want to feel, it's not the money, it's the freedom that money brings. Feel the freedom. Know that it's yours and you are totally worthy of it, and allow that to come into your view. Because just like you said, if anyone were to tell me I'd be doing this, I would have thought you were nuts. I always loved like the Long Island Medium and like all of those type of shows, but I always thought it was like, oh, that's not, I can't do that. But I was so interested in it. And turns out we all do this. We can all connect. When I was my first client, basically, I never thought I would do sessions. I never ever thought that I would teach ever. But it was so life-changing for me. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am now. I wouldn't have had that growth. I needed to have those things happen. So looking at it as it's happening for me. Okay, this is happening for me. Guide me as to why and what do I need to do next.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things, I don't know if you've had the same thing, but it sounds like when you were in your banking career, it was getting more difficult with your heart to be in the work that you were doing. So you were sort of like pushed towards ending that and finding something else, which by all means is very difficult to do. And it feels like on my end, it was just mostly an emotional discomfort, but that discomfort was growing so much day by day, and it felt like I was dealing with more difficult things, and I was already worn out emotionally. And it kept like piling on and piling on, and it just felt like it was the universe like making it harder and harder until I would say, "Stop! I cannot take it anymore. I'm gonna be done with it." But it just feels like all that hard stuff was indeed to get me to that breaking point where I would let go of what didn't serve me instead of, yeah, tormenting me.
Yes, that's exactly what happened with me as well. I was hospitalized. They had called 911 when I was at home, and my husband had said after the event happened, he goes, "You can't go back to work. Like, you're not going to come home one day." Because, I would have to sit in a back room or something like that because it was a horrible episode. And my husband's like, no one's checking on you. It's a place of business. What if something happens and, no one helps you, that type of thing. So the universe will make it uncomfortable. And that's when you know, okay, if this is not what I'm meant to do, then show me where I'm supposed to go and allow it to come to you. Because, like we're talking about, never did I ever think I would be here doing this. And it feels like play that I get to do, And it's just so joyful and transformative and magical. And never did I ever think I would be doing this.
Absolutely. And I think the most remarkable part of your NDE, to me at least, was the part of how you made others feel in your life review and how the lives of others were impacted by us. And it comes very close to what I personally think the purpose of us and of our lives is, because I tend to believe that that purpose is very closely aligned with making the people around us better and making their lives more joyous and being in service to them as much as we can.
Yes.
Was this something that you discovered in that moment, or what did you make of it when you had that life review?
I remember thinking, being back in my body now, why did you show me that? Because I'm not perfect. And they said, because the way that I am, I would have been more torn down by looking at, oh, I can't believe I did that. That's terrible. And it would have just caused me to spiral. It really gave me more of that. It ignited more within me to do more of that and to really show that we are all one. What we put out there comes back to you. Karma is a very real thing. So what you do unto others is done unto you. Maybe not now, maybe in another alternate life. So it does come back. What you put out comes back to you. And you never know when that's going to happen. And it's just the more we uplift others, because especially in the banking world, it was about, no, you need to do the loan with me, don't go there. And it was competitive. And in this environment, it's, no, you don't have to do a session with me. I have this person. If you're looking that she specializes in this, I can do that, but do you want to see this person? It's lifting everyone up because we're all in this together. There's plenty of money to go around. There's plenty of friendships and love and all of that to go around. We don't need to hoard anything, information or anything like that. Let's help one another, uplift one another. This is really the age of it's the age of Aquarius, so it's bringing Lemuria back, really. If people have heard of Lemuria or that concept, Atlantis, talk about Lemuria, where they worked with nature and the crystals and all that kind of stuff. It's bringing the superhuman back to be able to look within for the answers and to be more interconnected and to be more at peace and more at love and the higher vibrational feelings. And that's what we're working towards getting back to. That's why the world seems triggered right now. A lot of people are awakening and wanting to know there's got to be more. That was my thing. Something happened. My husband was supposed to purchase a company years ago, and it didn't happen. And we were being strung along for a few years about it. And I remember like screaming. And this is after, I wound up having to stay home because I, couldn't work anymore and had to stay home. And I remember just screaming, there's got to be something more than someone else pulling the strings. That's when I awakened. That's when I saw the 111, the 1111, the feathers. All my gifts started opening automatically. So that's what triggered it. So it's a reminder too that things that happen, we see things as good and bad, light and dark. The darkness is a friend. It's there to trigger you, to ignite the light within you, to bring that out, which is weird to think about.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's so true because I think we all have examples, right? And you just mentioned it as well about your husband not getting the job that seemed like such a great idea at the time, right? But then it was for the better good, which you couldn't see at the time because you didn't know what was coming.
Right.
So absolutely. You mentioned there are a few things. So the 111s, and then feathers as well. And while I know that the string of one is a good sign, I'm not quite sure what the feathers are. Would you mind explaining that?
Yes. So this is a reminder. You can always look up. If you look at my phone, it has, the predetermined messages. So I'll always do spiritual meaning of whatever it is. We have our own language with spirit. So what 111 and 1111 mean to me can mean something very different for you. Same as feathers. So for me, the 111 and the 1111 is usually a wake up sign. When I see that, I know I'm receiving downloads or information and good things are coming. So when I see it now, it has shifted from when I started to, fast forward 7-8 years. And now it means that I'm going to be receiving a download because of work that I've done. When I see feathers, I'm very connected to the angelic realm. My higher self is a seraphim angel. That's a whole story in itself. Trippy story, how that came about, to realize what that was. But feathers are just my sign from my higher self in the angelic realm, that they're there, that they're with me, because it brings me joy. Because I always tell them, I love to hear from you. Show me some signs, sprinkle some joy, into my life, type of thing. And I always say magic follows me everywhere I go. I love that I experience magic more and more with each and every day. I'm very big on affirmations. It's something my guides taught me to do. When you have the feeling there, if you're feeling low vibrational, you don't want to say them because that infuses something different in it. But when you feel those moments of joy, say all these affirmations and it infuses it and really ignites it and puts it out into the universe. But that's what the feathers mean for me, is the angelic realm and the connection. Sometimes I'll look at it and they want me to see something, or I'll get a download in that moment to remember something, or I'll know, okay, now I need to meditate. Because sometimes when I see them, it sounds weird, but I'll just know in that moment because they just put the information in my head, you need to meditate. Then they were just trying to get my attention to remind me to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So beautiful. I cannot help but think you are such a light and positive person, and you have so many lessons that, I mean, just a few of them you've shared with us, but so much more that you share with the people around you. And this to me is, I see it as a duality with the heart condition that you have, right? And which has been very challenging to manage for most of your life, if not all of it. So I wanted you to speak on what it was like to go through this and the mindset that you've had to develop. And I also wanted to ask you, how do you stay away, or how did you stay away from, the why me conversation? Like, why does this happen to me? Because definitely your life is harder than that of people who wouldn't have this, for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you stay in those high vibrations? And we were talking about why things are happening to us and they're actually happening for us.
Yes.
How do you see this challenge that you were given right now with the knowledge that you have at this moment?
So I was in it. I was depressed. When I first stayed home, my heart issue is something that I think I've had my entire life, but it was like sprinkled through and it didn't get bad, honestly, until after I had our daughter. And I would always try and put the face on. Like you said, when you were in the corporate world, it was like heavy emotionally. For those that have an unseen or a seen illness, any kind of like mental struggles, anything like that, we're all going through something. I would always try and put the face on, but then I would get depressed because I'm sick, and people are like, well, you don't look sick, but I'm so sick, that type of thing. So it was just this struggle all the time. I was always upset. I was always crying. And when I stayed home, I felt very depressed because I felt, well, now I'm not contributing anything. What am I doing? I can do laundry and then I have to rest for the rest of the day. Or maybe I could do laundry if it's a good day, do laundry and maybe cook dinner later. I had to choose how I spent my energy. And then when that moment happened and I awakened, the guides had taught me that everything is happening for us in order to trigger and ignite and pull that out of you. But how do you get it out? When I was very Kristen, very human, I was dependent on what everybody else said about me. I didn't love myself. How do you love yourself? Like, how does that even look? So I had to be taught how to love myself, which is messy because when you love someone, your partner, your spouse, your family, your kids, they drive you nuts, right? I mean, we love them, but they can drive us nuts. That's the same when you love yourself. It's a mess. I love you, Kristen, even though you are just a mess. So you love yourself for everything, for all of those faults, because you know your heart wants to do better. And that's how I stumbled through that. And I realized, because people would say, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through all of that after I was home for a few years. And once I had awakened, I was seeing me for the first time. Who am I? What do I love? And I was seeing life differently because I was able to travel beforehand, and then it got really bad where I can't travel anymore. So that's where I'm at now. I have a defibrillator. It's not a pacemaker, so it doesn't regulate anything, and I get very sick. So traveling is not an option for me right now. But yes, I get sad. I still get sad about it, but I am more happy now than I was prior because I celebrate more. I celebrate each day. I am surrounded by my animals. We now have 3 dogs and 2 cats. We just got a puppy. Like I needed that. We just got a puppy. She's, 4.5 months old. While everyone's at school and at work, I get to do this spiritual work on myself, collaborate with others, have these conversations, help people. And it brings me so much joy to be able to do that. We have to find joy within ourselves, which is so hard when you feel like you're in the gutter. But the guides always tell me one foot in front of the other. And I remember telling them, why does it seem like I'm taking 5 steps forward and then 50 backwards? And then 10 steps forward and then, 1,000 steps backwards. That's what it will feel like. And the guide said, in the realm of spirit, movement is beautiful and we celebrate you. You see right, wrong, good, bad. We see movement. You have to fall back in order to ignite yourself to move forward. So now when something happens, I tend to laugh more about it. Okay, what do you want me to see? What do you want me to do? I get angry, I get frustrated, and I get impatient, I get sad, I get depressed, but the difference is I'm able to pull myself out of it faster or not even be in it anymore in a matter of minutes. Sometimes I'm in it for a bit, but I'm not in it for as long. And that right there is the shift that happened with me. But it's the gratitude of each day. I'm home. I get to be home. I just have to worry about myself. I don't have to worry about getting up and going to work and all these other things that I had to worry about before. I am grateful. So being in gratitude for absolutely everything. Because the days that I am bedridden, when I get up the next day, oh, it feels so good to eat my breakfast outside and feel good and not have pain in my chest, and I can take a good breath. I don't feel nauseous. So gratitude is everything, and you can always find something you're grateful for somewhere. It could be anything in that moment, especially if it's there's moments that I've had where I was upset, or and a friend just spontaneously messages me, I was thinking about you, I saw a dragonfly, and she messaged me this morning, I saw a dragonfly and it always makes me think of you, how are you doing, I love you. And it just brings so much joy into my life, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the connections, but the deeper connections. So I'm blessed and grateful to be able to at least recognize it. Sometimes I don't sit in it for very long. Sometimes it's longer than I'd like, but it's still not what I used to do, which is growth. And if I'm in it longer, it just means something more needs to be healed and looked at, and I ask for help and guidance and allow that to come forward to help.
And it sounds to me like you're giving yourself more grace as well than you would have before. With, hey, it's okay, like this doesn't feel good, I'm a bit sad today, it's fine, I still feel sad. I don't need to be superwoman all the time, but I just need to wallow, and I will direct my attention when I'm able to towards more positive things.
Yes, feel the feelings. It's okay not to be okay. I always thought I always had to have the face on. I always had to smile. I had a great aunt who I loved dearly, and she was my biggest cheerleader, but I always felt like she had me on a pedestal and I was her Barbie doll. So I had to be a certain way and look a certain way and all these different things. I had to really learn who Kristen was, and I had to really learn to love myself, and I had to learn that it's okay not to be okay. When we have feelings, we're here being human to feel those feelings. Because on the other side, there's such high frequencies. You manifest like that. There's no I'm hungry, or I where's my next paycheck so I can make my mortgage payment, like that. There's not that on the other side. So you need to learn this to have more gratitude for that, right? So it's source experiencing itself through all of its fragments, which are all of us.
So beautiful. Kristen, is there anything that I haven't asked you today that you feel called to share with all of us?
Can you sit with that for just a moment, just to feel into what would be? So I remember a couple of weeks ago, I remember saying, why did these certain things happen? I was upset because I was upset over my NDE. I was being picky and I was trying to control it. Why can't I see other people who had NDEs can see themselves and all this other stuff, and I couldn't see myself? Isn't it funny what our egos will get upset about and try and critique about? I'm critiquing how I died, basically. I remember being so upset about that. But when I finally got over my little pity party and I meditated, that's when I received insight in saying, remember that you're not your body. So it was my biggest gift to realize that we are so much more. Because Kristen always thought I was little, significant. I didn't have much to offer the world. And I'm just a banker, I would help people with my whole heart, to be able to help them and all of that. And I worked hard for what? For me to go in the next day and, well, what did you do for me today type of thing? What are your numbers today? That kind of stuff. But I realized that we are so much more, and never to dim your light to appease others. Because there are people that are in our environment that are triggers for us. You know those people. They are our biggest teachers. To trigger something within you and to be able to feel the feelings. Really, the message is start asking and thinking and remembering who you are. When I meditated many years ago, when I started this journey, I channeled God for the first time. And I remember saying in my mind, who is this? And I heard, you know who this is. But I was in total denial. I'm not worthy enough to channel God. And I asked, the meditation, or the purpose of the meditation was, who am I? Who am I? And God said, Kristen, you are love. You are love, and you're having this physical human experience. Remember, we are these expansive, amazing beings of light in this little body. Learn and remember to connect with yourself, not just with other people, but learning to love who you are. Learning to love everything around you and know everything is happening for you. I know we've touched on that more, but I'm really feeling that this is just such an important message to drive home, because it's something that I've felt and really had to work through. And there's so many layers to this journey, right? So there's still things that come back up from bullying and self-love and that kind of stuff, because there's always all of those layers. But like I said, I navigate it better. We're in a fast food world too. So remember, we want everything yesterday. Come on, I want my meal now. I want to feel better now. Okay, help me get out of this depression like now, yesterday. The best things in life come with that gift of time and that gift of patience with yourself, because it lasts longer. It's not the quick fix. So trust yourself and trust that everything's happening for you, and know that, okay, I'm grateful for this now moment, even though it doesn't feel so wonderful, because it's triggering me for better. Just remember who you are, because it's just more amazing than so many people realize.
That's so true and so beautiful at the same time. I'll definitely have to replay that for myself to let that properly sink in. How can people find you and your work?
You can find me at www.infiniteheartandsoul.com, and you can message me from there. But I'm on social media. I always say I'm shy. Before my NDE, I would always do some lives, but on my personal Facebook page and in my group class things. And this really has shoved me out a lot more after the NDE, doing more content and videos to be able to serve others and to help whatever I feel the collective needs at that time. So TikTok and things like that.